The moment this shoot stopped going to plan was the moment it started getting better. Last week, I photographed pro wrestler Myla Grace along locations on the Northern Irish coastline with just one camera, one lens, and one off-camera flash. Now, this shoot didn't exactly go to plan, and that's exactly where the best lessons come from. I've always learned that my best work comes from when I take risks, take chances, and do something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So when I was on a recent trip to Northern Ireland, I made time to book a car, to take some of my friends for moral support.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
To contact Myla, say that we were in the area, and to put some time aside to do a purely creative shoot, just for the love of photography. Now, Northern Ireland has some of the most dramatic landscapes in the world, and we'd planned originally to go all the way up to the top, the northern end of the island, to go and visit Giant's Causeway super early in the morning. And so that's point one. The first advice I would give to anyone who's looking to take better outdoor portraits is to plan your vision, but adapt for the execution. Planning gives you overall direction over your photo shoot, but having flexibility within that sometimes is the key factor to getting the shot. And so for this shoot, I had planned, I'd scouted a location, I'd booked an incredible model, I had the best assistants that I could possibly wish for on the day, booked the car, got everything done in advance, planned out the timings, and had a really good communication between the whole team. For this shoot, I was joined by Scott Johnson and Kelly Brown, two of the best buddies I could possibly wish for on this expedition. And Myla I'd worked with before, and being a hometown girl from Northern Ireland, it felt like she was the right person to ask to join us on this trip and tell a little bit of her story as well, and help wind that into the narrative of the overall portrait. The plan was always to mix location light with a single off-camera flash. So my idea was to create dark and moody landscapes and add a pop of artificial light to really make Myla stand out and look like she owned these landscapes. Knowing we were working outside, I wanted to work with a wardrobe that would move in the wind and move in the natural environment, and also had a really punchy color so that she would stand out against these moody landscapes. The plan was always for her to wear this sort of flowing hot pink dress to create a dynamic contrast between the landscape and her. But when we got there were a number of factors working against us. Firstly, the rocks around that area are super slippy, so I had a safety and a welfare concern with regards to the team on the day. And also, it's a heavy tourist area, and even arriving super early in the morning, there are still people around, which means that it doesn't have the best privacy for this sort of shoot, and therefore it feels a little bit like being at a wedding. You feel under sort of like a time constraint, under a pressure, and that's not the environment I wanted to create for the best shoots possible. I was looking for super gloomy, dramatic landscapes, but the conditions of the weather at the time were really overcast, and I wasn't really getting a good quality of light to balance out the artificial light with the ambient light. So with all of this in mind, we made a decision to cancel this shoot, to cancel this particular idea and move to our backup plans. As Q always says in James Bond, always have an escape plan. The previous day, I'd scouted alternate locations in a handbook that I'd found in someone's car of local walks, and we struck upon the idea of moving the shoot to Kinbane Castle. So with all of these things, you do need a plan, but it's important not to be precious about it. If it's working against the shoot, it's important to call audibles and to be flexible. And remember that the goal isn't to stick with the plan, it's to stick with the vision. Now, point number two is to know your gear. Familiarity with your gear breeds speed, it breeds confidence, and therefore breeds creativity. I wasn't going to bring anything on this shoot that I'd never used before, so I had my brand new transmitter from Electron, but I'd practiced the entire week before with my new transmitter Pro X. I'm always familiar with my Canon cameras, having used them for 30 years, and I had my old faithful, my 24-105 lens on there. I had Scott to move the light around for me so that we had a good good communication as to how I wanted the light to be presented on the shoots. And I had a variable ND filter, and that was going to help me control the ambient light in and around the scene. Being a variable filter, it means that I can just twist it on the end and it will change the density of that filter as I'm shooting, rather than constantly switching between filters mid-shoot. And this is important because I don't want to waste time troubleshooting, and I want to be fully focused on the composition and directing Myla throughout the shoot. Outdoor shoots move fast, conditions change all of the time. And in fact, in the second location, we had hard light. The clouds had parted, so we had sunlight, which we were managing to use as a backlight and a hairlight in the different locations. But it's important to be adaptable to that and to move quickly, and having familiarity with the gear that you're using enables you to do that more efficiently. You don't get time to figure things out. You're outside in the natural environment. This place that we went to was a little bit of a walk to get to as well, so it's a little bit of a physical exercise to get there. And there's all sorts of noises with the sea crashing against the coastline and the wind blowing across the scene. You don't want to be keeping your team waiting while you work out what your best settings are. So having that familiarity and having that speed enables the shoot to be a more pleasurable experience for everyone involved. The longer you're thinking about the settings, the less time you're thinking about the shots, your subject, and the overall experience for everyone, and the overall vision that you set out to achieve. So get familiar with your gear before you take it out on a shoot with a clear vision, or practice it in a situation where everyone's on board, that you may be taking your time, that you're trying something new, and that there are zero expectations before you set out. And that leads us nicely on to point number 3, which is to communicate your vision before you arrive. I communicated the vision for this project with the creative team around it, including Myla, where we were constantly chatting about the look and the feel, creating mood boards, sharing similar images, and also discussing how I wanted Myla to feel and pose on the day. It's really, really difficult in some of these shots where I'm quite a long way on a long focal length to communicate with her how exactly I want her to pose. So before the day and on the day itself, we're just talking as we're getting to locations about foot placement, about hand placement, and about general mood and feel, because I'm not going to be able to micro manage posing as we go. It's going to be super difficult when I'm a long way away with the noise of the environment, the wind crashing around, for me to actually shout instructions. So we just need to agree on that feeling beforehand so that we can execute a more flow posing formula to give us a more natural feel to the portrait, and so that when I do give communication, it's simple, it's brief, and it just adds to the scene rather than fully directing it. Shouting complicated instructions isn't an efficient way to work in this environment. So having trust in your team is the only way that you can really move forward and create the images that you're looking for. And because we pre-planned all of this, there was less shouting of specific directions, there was more flow, more momentum, and it was a fun, professional experience for everyone. The clearer I can be before the shoot, the quieter I can be during it, and then I can focus on the things that really matter: in-camera cropping, adjustments to camera settings, and really creating impactful images. So plan but be ready to adapt, know your gear, and communicate early and efficiently. Those are the 3 tips that I would give to effective location shoots. Location portrait photography is unpredictable, and that's why I love it. I love combining travel with amazing models to create impactful storytelling images. And some of my favorite images throughout my entire career have been taken on location, but only by controlling those 3 things and being able and ready to adapt when things change. Am I able to create images that not only I love, but the people I work with love as well.
Rugged.
Yeah, I look like I run this country, don't I?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what we want.
And these images are a brilliant celebration of Myla, who she is as a person and where she comes from, and the amazing coastline that her country presents. Celebrating people in the natural environment from the places that they've come from is a really powerful storytelling tool. And if you can plan those shoots but be adaptable at the same time, you can create images that go beyond your standard portrait session. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, share it with a friend. And you can visit my website, nofussmus.com, for more portrait photography learning.